In 1964, Bill Russell showed up in a black suit before Game 5 of the 1964 NBA Finals. All his teammates asked him, "Why are you wearing a black suit?" He said, "Because I'm going to a funeral today." And they go, "Funeral? You know, we got a game. Whose funeral are you going to?" He goes, the Warriors. We're about to bury these motherfuckers.
I'm about to get mine and it's about time. Call us Grindhouse, everybody in a house grind. I'm just doing me, I ain't trying to outshine. Trying to kill my vibe is how you get outlined.
What's up, y'all? It is the Hoopstorians. We are back and worse than ever. My normal co-hosts are gone today because of the holidays, so we're bringing in, we don't got the dream team, we're bringing in the redeem team today. We got Professor Golden here, we got Chris from All-American Hooper. Let's get into this day in NBA history. This day in NBA history, December 16th, 1993, which actually coincides with my first wife's birthday. So shout out to my first wife. That is actually the day she was born. It is Patrick Ewing becomes the all-time leading scorer in New York Knicks history. Chris, I'm going to ask you, how much do you value franchise-leading records like that? Or do you value it based off the history of the franchise, or do you kind of look at it all the same, or it doesn't really matter to you?
It's important to the face of the franchise for sure. If you're talking about like being a franchise legend, obviously, those are very important. Especially from like a fan perspective, it's obviously like a very cool thing. But as far as it goes for comparing across franchises, obviously like Brook Lopez being the franchise leader in points for the Nets isn't as impressive as it is for long. I don't know, like a Kobe for the Lakers, but yeah, all in all, it's an accomplishment and it should be celebrated by fans within that fan base.
Professor, I'm going to ask you, do you think Patrick Ewing had a better college career or a better professional career?
He won a championship in college and was an All-American all those years. And what's interesting, I don't even think he was Big East Player of the Year because Chris Mullin won that when they were seniors. So, and I think he won as a junior, but I'm not sure. I haven't checked that. But yeah, if you look at his college career, won a gold medal in 84, won a championship in 84, went to 3 Final Fours, 82, 84, and 85. And he went to the finals twice, never won All-Star selection. So it depends. It depends on who you ask. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, supposed to be one of the best centers of all time. Could have won that championship in 94 if John Starks in Game 7 doesn't go 2 for 16, 2 for 18.
18, 2 for 18.
Yeah, but they should have won Game 6, but shouldn't even win 7 games. It's debatable. Okay, luck of the draw. You're not going to always win championships at every level, and the ones that win championships at every level, they're very fortunate because they have a team. They have better teams around them. I would say this, and that's an interesting question. If you look at the Knicks draft picks after Patrick Ewing, I think the Knicks failed him because they could have got Pearl Washington in 86. They drafted Kenny Walker. Then they drafted 2 point guards back-to-back in Mark Jackson and Rod Strickland. They could have did other things, put the right people around him to help him win a championship. He couldn't do it alone, especially in the era that he played in. And I'm not talking about the 90s. I'm talking about the 80s. Okay, if Bernard King doesn't get hurt in 84, the year before Patrick gets in 84, 85, the year before. So it's the luck of the draw. And what it is.
And there we go. That was this day in NBA history. So this episode, we brought in the professional to help us dissect this. That's why we brought in Professor Golden Day. We want to talk about what the fuck is wrong with these fans. It seems like they have mental issues. They have cognitive dissonance, hypocrisies, conflicting beliefs. And I will give you a good example. I'm going to show you a clip right now that we use sometimes on the show. It's called You've Embarrassed Yourself. Now, I want you to listen to this guy, and I'm going to break this down, and then we're going to go off this. But listen to what's said in this clip right here. That's why I made it into a clip, because I found it so funny.
You embarrassed yourself.
I'm being honest, bro. This is why I don't talk a lot about those other players, because I haven't seen a lot of games.
You've embarrassed yourself.
I haven't seen a lot of games, and that's why I don't.
It shows. Oh,
You know
it
what I'm
shows.
No, it don't show. I lit the Shaq and Kobe thing.
You've embarrassed yourself.
So I don't know if you heard that. It was, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know a lot about these old players. And then my response was, it shows. Immediately goes, no, it doesn't show. So once again, tell me what goes on with someone's mind when they say that. You just admitted you did not know. I agreed with you. And we immediately now disagree because I agreed with you.
Chris, you can start first because there's a lot of thoughts that come to my mind, and I want to let you go first.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's just an ego check. People are afraid to admit when, like, obviously, like him admitting that that like he hadn't watched the game, watched like a lot of like the older games, but like he still doesn't want to admit that he doesn't have the knowledge on the subject. So yeah, I think that's a huge problem within fan bases, both within TikTok and on Twitter, in my opinion. That's the whole like we done with the 90s things that happened two seasons ago. I feel like it was just like an exposure for people that already weren't watching the games, saying like, oh no, oh look, now we're watching the games and we're forming these opinions now that are just confirming our own biases. So yeah, I think that video nails it on the head pretty well.
There's so much package there. And when you start thinking about these guys admitting that was before my time, right there, you're telling on yourself. You have to study history to understand the future and understand the present. And so when people say, well, you know, I wasn't around or I didn't really watch, prime example, the WNBA. When people ask, when did you start watching WNBA with Caitlin Clark? Oh, but basically right there, you've admitted that your knowledge is lacking, and you have people who've covered sports for 50 years. So when you start talking about she should be on Mount Rushmore, wait a minute. What has she done to put her on the Mount Rushmore? I just want to know. And you're talking about how many years did she come on the scene? 2020? Freshman year at Iowa? And you got people who played the game 30, 40 years ago? You want to erase their history? I mean, you know, Anthony Edwards, I know you said you weren't going to talk about players, but he comes to mind when he said that Michael Jordan was the only athletic player, but he really didn't watch. Right there.
Skilled is the term.
Skill player, yeah, skill player. Right there. You've already basically told on yourself. When you stated that, you made the statement, only skill player. So somebody should say, son, let me sit you down and let me explain to you about these different individuals. Okay, I've had people ask me, how do I know so much about a particular player when I wasn't born? I said, because I've done research. I've talked to other people, older heads, who watched. Then I was able to read and be able to put things in perspective. See what I'm saying? If you think about a lot of the all-time greats in baseball, when you start, and I'm gonna mention two, Ted Williams and Willie Mays. Ted Williams has 521 home runs. Willie Mays has 660. Put an asterisk next to that, because Ted Williams played before 1961 when they extended the season to 162 games. Willie Mays had played his first 6-7 seasons before. And the reason why I say there's 2 seasons that should be omitted, because he did not play, he was in Korea. Between the both of them, they missed 7 years of their career. So if you factor that in, plus the 8 extra games that they missed when they expanded the season, they would be higher on the list, along with the Warren Spahns, along with Bob Fellows, along with the Bob Gibsons. They would have more wins or Sandy Koufax, the great ones. So understanding history to make the connection to the present day. And so when you start talking about these different individuals, I wasn't around. You're making an excuse for your lack of knowledge. If you don't know, say you don't know, you're willing to learn. A man there.
Well said.
Chris, you got a question, Chris?
Oh no, no, yeah, it was just perfectly well put. Yeah, like obviously, if I'm not mistaken, I'm like, I don't know how old Great Sports is, but I'm definitely the youngest person here. So like, there are definitely certain things that I'm not going to know from, obviously, yeah, from like your years of experience of like either watching film or doing research. But however, I am always someone who is who's doing my best to look at the old stats, like reading old books about different perspectives, and and I don't mean to give myself too much of a pat on the back here, but yeah, I definitely just feel like that like a lot of these fans just aren't willing to do that. They just kind of say like, okay, yeah, this guy played before, this guy played before Jordan, and obviously he's not gonna be as good as the guys today. While there is some truth to the fact that like maybe like a guy like a role player in the 70s is probably going to be worse than a role player today, but that doesn't necessarily make them worse by default. It might just like put different things in perspective.
Rage, you got a question for the professor?
Oh yeah, I don't know what you guys talked about so far. I know you were talking about just people that air attacks without even just casually do it. I think that's a big popular thing right now, is that people are just going to casually not count anything pre-1980 because they don't care enough, like you said, to even look at it. They're just going to, I don't care about Bill Russell. I don't care about the Celtics or the Hawks, about Bob Pettit. They're going to think they're all plumbers. My biggest issue right now, I guess, when it comes to the way the fans are thinking, is that I just don't understand how certain accolades or awards can matter for every player, but then when it comes to certain players who don't have them, we're supposed to just forget them. And I think it's just such a hypocritical thing to do, that we're going to value Jordan's MVPs or Finals MVPs. We're going to value Kareem's. When we get to certain players like Kobe or even Tim Duncan, when Tony Parker's winning Finals MVPs, we're just supposed to like disregard, I guess, those awards. And it's just consistency. No one seems really consistent with any of their criteria. No one seems to have any consistent thinking. It's either going off other people's opinions or they're forming opinions about players they know nothing about, just off confirmation bias.
Well, you know what happens is it doesn't fit their narrative.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Okay, and that's the key. If it doesn't fit their narrative, then they want to argue, get mad, get upset with you because you're pointing out something. This is the key. You're just pointing out the facts. And a lot of people don't want to deal with facts because facts is reality. They want to live in an alternative universe. And also, it doesn't fit the narrative because what they do is they minimize that person's accomplishments. Prime example, Dwight Howard just went to the Hall of Fame this year. And when they had the caption, when they put his resume up for the Hall of Fame, 2020 NBA champion. Now, last I checked, he won that championship with the Lakers, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But when LeBron, they'll say, well, he won it in the bubble. Nothing they said about Dwight Howard. They said he won in the bubble. They said, word. Sue Bird was in the same Hall of Fame class with Dwight Howard, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Her last championship was in 2020 in the bubble. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
But they never said she won in the bubble. They just said 2020 NBA champion, along with the three previous ones. So you see how it's okay for this group, but then it's not for this group.
Mm-hmm. So,
go ahead.
Yeah. Like, I'm just gonna push back on that just a little bit. So you mentioned like that's in the Hall of Fame aspect of it. I was actually at the Hall of Fame a couple months ago. And do you think that's just a matter of like you're like comparing it to a fan's perspective versus like legends perspective? Because like, you know, like when LeBron eventually gets into the Hall of Fame, like I think eventually it's going to say 4-time champion. It's not going to say 3-time champion plus 1. So I just think it's important just to think about who you're looking at evaluating that.
Hey, and then I want to add one thing to it. Can I just add one before you go off? And here's the thing that makes it different, okay? I would even understand that argument from the fans' perspective if LeBron only won one and it was only in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
That would even make sense. Like TJ Warren's a 30-point game scorer in the bubble. He's averaging like 28. Everywhere else, he's not. So I would understand putting an asterisk on that. But if LeBron's winning outside the bubble, then what is he wins in the bubble or outside the bubble? Also,
the Lakers were the one seed before entering the bubble as well. It's not like that was. It's like that was the entire season.
Okay, let me say this. How many teams has LeBron played on?
3.
Has he won championships everywhere he's been?
Sure has.
In the discussion.
Absolutely.
In the discussion. He's won everywhere he's been. Other people who have won in other places, they've won not championships, but they've gotten to the finals. But they haven't won everywhere they've coached or everywhere they played. This guy has won every play where he's played, and he's been the MVP of those championships everywhere he's played. Those are facts. But like I said before, if it doesn't fit the narrative, then we have a problem with this. We were in class and I was thinking about this, what we said earlier before we went live, and we were talking about you defending people that you particularly don't care for. Okay. I have shared many conversations with people about Michael Jordan, and I've told them that he was the 8th highest paid player on his team. They said, "You don't even like Jordan." I said, "That's not the point. I want you to understand that his team never valued what he did. Well, they paid him $35 million. I said, yeah, but that was after his second contract ended. But let's look at what he did between that time, from 88, 89 to 95, 96. Never once did they renegotiate. That's facts. He got on the back end his last 2 years. And when Cheryl Miller was asked, was he worth $35 million? She started laughing. She said, if anything, he's underpaid. Now, you would think the media would have a follow-up question. No. Because the truth sometimes hurts people. And so when you start dealing with what is, which is fact, we have a problem with it. We as a culture have a problem because it doesn't fit the narrative. You're going to disagree or dislike people that you have to defend. Lawyers do that every day. Every day. They know this joker might be guilty, but their job is basically to minimize or get my client off or prevent my client from going to prison. Do it all the time. And so in sports is more debated than politics because sports and politics are married to each other. Simple. Okay, so it's bottom line. And so we start thinking about, well, I don't compare eras. Okay, but you said that this person is the greatest. What are you basing that on? Prime example. Who's the all-time leading rusher and for a season? Who's the number one guy that's rushed for more yards in the season than anybody?
Sanders,
Pearson, right?
No.
I think it's Sanders. Barry Sanders.
No. It's Eric Dickerson.
I thought the Peterson broke it a few years ago. No,
Nope.
about a decade ago. No,
He could have broke it.
I think he did. Yeah.
No, he didn't. Look it up.
Oh no. Oh, that's right. Okay, no. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It was like the last week. He was like chest short. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Now you're talking to a person that don't watch the NFL, but I'm speaking facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Eric Dickerson said that he broke OJ's record. Is that right?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said he never wants anybody to break that record. I will remind Eric Dickerson, you broke OJ's record in 16 games. OJ set that record in 14. Is that right? Okay. Jim Brown rushed for 1,800 yards in 12 games. I can't tell you, I don't remember what year. But
63.
Thank you. I knew it was 60 something. Okay? 1,800 in 12 games.
6.4 yards per carry.
That's right. He averaged 5 points. Okay? We start talking about greatness, and we're talking about putting 11 in the box to try to stop. So when you start talking about your era or I didn't watch, I wasn't born. I don't think anybody on this panel was born. But I know when I would read stuff as a child, it would always say the great before they said his name. So I started talking to older heads. Why do they always have the great before his name? And I had women, not just men, women tell me stories about this dude, how great he was. And I'm like, okay, this dude must be special. Then I begin to watch. And remember, they didn't legislate defenses at that time like they legislate defense out of the game like it is now. See, Mel Blunt changed the rules. You can't chuck nobody. That's the Mel Blunt rule.
Used to tackle the receiver at the line.
Mel Blunt. You had Night Train Lane. Any tackle below the neck is a bad tackle. I said below. Neck and above. You had Deacon Jones, the head slap.
Dick Butkus.
You had Dick Butkus. We had Chuck McNary. We're talking about the all-time greats. Nitschke, Willie Davis. They can speak. And remember, they didn't play in domes. They played on natural grass in Soldier Field, the Dog Pound, Green Bay, Old Tiger Stadium, Old Kezar Stadium. It wasn't RFK Stadium because Bobby Kennedy was still alive. But you get my drift.
Mm-hmm.
We have to understand that we're dealing with a culture and a fan base that is not willing to learn. So the next time you're in a discussion, I'll say, and it gets heated. See, let's talk about, why do you feel the way you feel? Take the temperature down. Then this become a teachable moment. When you start talking about the greats, about this guy pitched 5 innings, he's great. Yeah, relievers that did. Sparky Lyle was the MVP. I mean, the Cy Young winner in 77. He pitched 5 innings. Him and Bruce Sutter, Goose Gossage, all them cats pitched 4 or 5 innings in relief. You got cats that pitch one batter, they got to save, or 1 inning. Come on. This is what we're talking about. All right.
Kurt, you got a question for the professor or anything?
Yeah. I guess yes. So yeah, I'm sure this was going to come eventually. So how much do you think social media has played into the change of like sports discourse in like all your years of studying, or just even like studying sports, or even just being a fan casually?
It has changed so much because we have people who think they're experts that haven't read a book, haven't studied, haven't talked to older heads. They'll take one clip, one highlight, and this guy's the greatest.
Or this guy sucks.
Oh, this guy, yeah. You're as good as your last game. Prime example. You got guys that might have a bad game. Today. They writing about him and all this other good stuff. Next game, he does great. So it's an ebb and flow. Anytime you see a series, and we can mention baseball and basketball, because those are series when you get to the finals. And they'll say, well, this series is over with. After one game, you saying the series is over with? If you're down 3-1, you got 3 chances to win 3 games. Well, but they dominate. That's true. But until they beat you in that 4th game, they haven't won yet. And a lot of it's a mindset. And so when you have these people that go on social media, we're going to go back. Can we go back 10 years to the 2015-2016 NBA season? Okay. The Golden State Warriors won how many games that year?
73.
Okay. They were up 3-1 against Cleveland. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Everybody. Series is over with. My wife is from Akron. A lot of people from Cleveland. I said, got it right where we want them. They told me, I wish I was as confident as you. I said, Cleveland gonna win this in 7 games. And they start telling me Golden State has won by double figures the first 3 out of 4 games. I said, that's true. Got it right where we want them. You know why? Because that team's overconfident. How do I know? When you start listening to people, they telling you how they thinking. They discounted the other team. Now the other team has some doubts, and they did. But all you need is one person to believe that they can win. And that was LeBron James. His own people said he's crazy. We just lost to this team by 15 points. And you think we can go out and Oakland? Yeah. Yeah, we can do it. And this is how we gonna do it. Because you have to have a belief. Now I'm gonna go back even further to the NCAA men's tournament 1983. And if we got some Houston Cougars fans in here from Islam and Jama, I apologize ahead of time. Jim Valvano, what people don't know is they thought he was some crazy New Yorker. He told his sophomores, because he took over the 80-81 season, he told Sidney Lowe, Derek Whittenburg, and Thurl Bailey, we're going to win a national championship. They thought he was nuts. All of them did. But he said, Coach V had a belief. He said, if you believe in me, we can do this. And a lot of times it's belief. So when you start hearing these people on podcasts tell you that a series is over, a game is over, they haven't played yet. They still got a chance. Now, I mentioned 83. If you, and I use this, I talk about this all the time in class. I mentioned the 84-85 NBA Finals. And I don't like bringing this up because it hurts my heart, because I hate the Celtics. But I want to point this out.
Uh-oh.
The Lakers lost May 27, 1985, is the Memorial Day Massacre. 148-114. Lost that game. Okay. Lost by 34 points. They lost to the Celtics the year before. People in the organization said, we can't beat this team. All you need is one guy. One guy. And that one guy was Magic Johnson. He said, Coop, he told Michael Cooper, we got him right where we want him. And if you pull up the stats of game 2, May 30th, 1985, that was a Thursday. Pull up the stats. Look at how many shots Michael Cooper took. And look how many points he had. He had 22 points. He shot 8 for 9. And people talk about Kareem. But Michael Cooper had one of the best games of his life. Okay. Coming off the bench. And everybody tried to put dirt on Kareem. And all that did was piss him off. And the next 4 out of 5 games, the Lakers won and won the finals.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Michael Cooper went 8 for 9 from the field that game.
I said that.
Exactly, yeah.
Had 22 points.
22 points, 5 assists.
I don't have that stuff. I don't have that stuff on my screen. I'm just telling you, this is filed here.
Oh, of course, yeah. I wasn't done here for a second. I was adding more context.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Kareem went 15 for 26, 17 boards, 8 assists. Well, 8 assists from Kareem. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and 30 points. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in game 6, because they were up 3 games to 2, Pat Riley told them, we taking one suit. We're going to win this on Sunday, June 9th. Okay. We ain't playing. It ain't going to be no game 7. And in that game, Magic Johnson had a triple-double. But Kareem was the MVP, and he deserved that at 38 years old. Just like Willie Stargell won the MVP in 1979 at 38 years old. Those are facts.
So here's my question for you on this. Okay, I'm someone. It's kind of broken down in two parts. Is one, people will say I like winning, right? Like we'll use the Kobe over LeBron thing, right? I like winning. That's why I got Kobe over LeBron. I'm like, cool. I like winning too. That's why I have Russell as the GOAT. And then Russell is the GOAT. I go, well, yeah, let's think of it like this. I said, Kobe Bryant, you think he's the GOAT, right? Or you think Jordan's the GOAT? Yeah, they're 1 and 2, and then everybody else. I was like, cool. I said, Russell's got as many rings as both of them combined. Secondly, I said, let's say, would you say they're good free throw shooters? Like, yeah. I said, well, Michael Jordan shoots 83.5 from the line. Kobe Bryant shoots 83.7 from the line. Bill Russell wins 11 out of 13 titles. It's 84.6%. That means Bill Russell, percentage-wise, is more likely to win a title than either one of them are to hit a free throw. Now we go with this. Then we get into other things, and I go, by the way, Michael Jordan's own coach and Kobe's own coach said they would take Russell. Phil Jackson says he would take Russell over Jordan. And then this one guy, he goes, Phil Jackson ain't never said no stupid shit like that. I ain't never heard him say nothing like that. I go, let me get this straight. If you ain't heard it, that means it ain't true because you've heard everything. He goes, yes. So then we pull up the video of Phil Jackson saying it. So now I'm on his ass. You've embarrassed yourself. How did he say this when you didn't hear it? How is shit going on in the world when that's what you just said. And all he did was leave. He didn't say a single word after that. I want to know what gives people the ego to say shit like that. Oh, and he kept arguing he was 51. That was another one of his arguments. He's seen more. He knows more. Shit like that, right? And I'm going to be honest with you. There's rarely a motherfucker I meet that knows more about this shit than me. Rarely. And really, it's only a certain subsection is what they really know more. If we go through the totality of it all, I know more than everybody I've ever met. I haven't met somebody. Other sports, that's not my gig. This sport is. So with that being said, what gives someone enough ego to say some shit like that, and then they're clearly proven wrong, and then they just bow out like a punk? Like, I don't get it. You was talking all that shit, and now it turns out that wasn't the case at all. I want to know what's wrong with them psychologically to say some shit like that.
It doesn't fit their narrative, and they don't want to be proven wrong. And you're bringing facts. People are afraid of 5 words. Facts. I got to do this alphabetically. Facts, logic, sense, think, and truth. Those are all 5 words. And my students, they gave me another word because we talk about, they said, well, we're a class of haters because we believe in those 5 words. Because I said, but people going to say y'all haters. Well, we haters in 5 letters. So when you're bringing facts, it does not go with what they are always spewing. Because you're bringing a different perspective. Your perspective is truth. Your perspective is what is. You can show them this. And to be honest with you, it doesn't surprise me that they left because that's what they do because they have nothing to argue. And when people get up and leave, they're getting up to leave because they have nothing to say. They have no counter. That's the bottom line.
Well, the question is this too, on the facts tip, because I never understood this. I'm really big on being right, not wrong, however you want to say it, right? People go to extreme lengths to avoid being wrong. And I try to tell them, check this out. If you admit you're wrong on this point now, you can now be right about it for the rest of your life. You're going to have to take the L now, but then you get nothing but W's on this for the rest of your life. Or you can ignore what we just proved and you continue to argue your point and you can continue to take L after L after L every single fucking day. Why don't people understand that? Why do they want to continue taking L's when they clearly hate that shit?
They don't want to accept being wrong because they feel it's a pride thing. You got to factor that in too. It's a pride thing. It's a sign of they feel it's a sign of weakness. I'm always right. No, you're not. You're gonna be wrong about some things. You're gonna be wrong about some things. But when you start dealing with the facts, especially when you're dealing with the past, people, what they'll try to do is they'll try to rewrite history. You have people that are trying to put Michael Jordan's championships in the 1980s. I've heard people say that. I've heard people say that Larry Bird won back-to-back titles. Am I missing something? Okay, but they tried to do that. I said, yeah, okay. I see what we're dealing with now. And with the advent of social media, Isaiah Thomas won back-to-back titles. He said something I'll never forget because he's the one who speaks in facts. Those are facts. He said, my teams beat their teams more than their teams beat mine. So he said that, so I got to do some research on this. So I started doing some research. I said, he's right. He's absolutely correct. He beat Bird, Jordan, and Magic in the same playoff in '89. Those are facts. He swept back Bird, he beat Jordan, and he swept Magic in 1989. Those are facts. He beat Bird in the playoffs 3 times. He beat Jordan in the playoffs 3 times. And he beat Magic once. Those are facts. And because you might not like the Pistons, I'm not a Pistons fan, I'm speaking in facts. How are you going to argue the facts? So what you do, I don't like him. Okay. But these are the facts. Period. Those are facts. And so you're not going to be able to reason with somebody who doesn't like being wrong because you're not going to be right all the time. And a person that is willing to accept, okay, I stand corrected. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's why I always ask, which I know I'm right, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because I might be off a little bit. Tell me this. Tell me something, give me something that an angle I'm not looking at. And that usually goes with theories. Okay. Because your sport is basketball. And I'm going to ask you, fellas, what rules did they change because of Michael Jordan to prevent him from being great?
None. They only added rules.
Thank
to make
you.
it great.
Thank you. Now, what rules did they change to prevent Wilt Chamberlain, Allen Iverson, Shaquille O'Neal, George Mikan,
James Harden.
Who?
James Harden. Kind of.
Oh, with the free throw, the fouling
Yeah.
on the free throws, the
Yeah.
rip through free throws, the
Yeah.
rip through move. They changed the rule on that. They don't call that no more.
Mhm.
Changed Barkley to back down for the
Charles
Barkley
Barkley,
rule.
yes. That should tell you somebody's greatness. And I heard Wilt Chamberlain say this. He said, anytime they change rules to prevent you from being great and you're still great, I think it speaks for itself. And we already talked about the different rules that were changed for guys in the NFL. Just a prime example. We talk about quarterbacks, right? If I tell you that Dan Marino is one of the best quarterbacks ever, how you gonna argue? They put the 2-step, and we start talking about things that are facts that hurt us. December 2nd, 1985 is one of them days, Monday night. Okay, we both from Chicago. We know what that day means. We go to Miami, we undefeated 13-0. We knew this might be a problem even before that game. And they put the 2-step drop. And people who are watching this podcast know what a quarterback is dealing with, a 2-step drop to get that ball out. And he was the perfect guy. These quarterbacks today couldn't do that. I don't have to watch him. I just know. But that dude, he was special because he had good receivers. He had a quick release anyway. And you put a 2-step drop specifically to deal with the 46 defense.
21 points in the second quarter on him. Lit him up.
Lit him up.
In the second quarter.
They couldn't do nothing with him. Nobody did that all season to that defense except one guy, and that's that dude. Okay? And so, this person might have all the different record for touchdowns, yards. That's fine. And they talk about the whole thing. Winning is important, but you can never discount what Dan Marino did. Because when he played, defenses, you talking about Doomsday, you talking about the 46, he had to go up against the 49ers. Yeah, they deal with them. I don't know why people thought they were a finesse team because Ronnie Lott was on that team and so was Hacksaw Reynolds. but that's people who think they know, but they don't know. And there's a lot of people who cover sports. They really don't know. And I'm gonna get because I know you got more questions. Bryant Windhorst was asked, and I think I brought this up when they asked him about Steve Smith, and he said he didn't know who he was. You've been covering sports this long and you don't know who Steve Smith is from Detroit? Okay. Same.
So, yeah, this kind of goes on to what I was thinking next, but yeah, because Windhorst is obviously like a big LeBron guy. So I'm wondering how much of like the whole like agenda and like spreading and like creating narratives, whether they be true or false or a mix of both, how much of that has a lot to do with, I feel like there's a far more of a growth in people being fan of players rather than being fans of teams. Because like obviously, because I'm a Celtics fan first and foremost. Obviously, I love Jason Tatum, I love Jaylen Brown, but I'm a Celtics fan, like first and foremost. And but like I feel like there are just so many people now. Like I feel like it's grown more and more. They're like, oh, I'm a Steph Curry fan, I'm a LeBron fan, I'm a Anthony Edwards fan. So so like from your lens, like how much of that has changed, like basketball, not even just basketball, but sports discourse?
You talking about being fans of individuals or not fans of teams?
Yes.
Okay, do
you agree? By the way, do you agree that like that more people today are fans of players rather than teams?
Oh, no doubt about it. This stuff started with Jordan. In fact, the Bob Ryan, who writes for the Boston Globe,
yes,
he's been on the show.
Okay, Bob Ryan said something 100, and I agree 100%. He said people didn't want to see the Bulls; they wanted to see Jordan. And Bob Ryan has a lot of stories. And if you look at history with the NBA, the best games in NBA history were in the Boston Garden. Not this news. No, the Boston Garden. The best games were in that building with no air conditioning. That's another thing, with no air conditioning right there. And then, Madison Square Garden, yes, but the best games in NBA history were right there in the Boston Garden. So there's no question. But yeah, a lot of people are not fans of teams. They're fans of players, certain players on that team. And that's the difference between the present day and the past, and we see it in all sports. You ask them about other players on the team, they don't know. They just know that player. We know when we can take a team. You had one of my favorite people you had on your show, the great Bobby Dandridge, who should have been in the Hall of Fame in the late 90s. Okay, but that's another story. Okay. And I did not like the Washington Bullets because they hurt me when they beat San Antonio in '79, but that's another story. Because it was Bobby Dandridge. Okay.
Bobby Dandridge, greatest second round game ever in Game 7.
Man,
amazing.
He had 37, didn't he?
Yep, had 20 in the fourth. Game winner, Garden, the Garden Ice. Ice had 42. Capped the 3-1 comeback.
Yeah, that's right. And you knew the players on that team. Elvin Hayes and the late, great Wes Unseld, rightfully so, got a lot of credit. But the ball was in Bobby Dandridge's hands in the fourth quarter. Okay.
People don't realize he's the best player on the 78 finals, the 78 team.
Yes. You and I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's why I kept saying over and over, this guy should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have went in no later. Silk Wilkes, Jamal Wilkes, should have went in the Hall of Fame in the 90s. He shouldn't have had to wait to 2000 in the 2000s to get in the Hall of Fame. Magic was throwing that ball to somebody. So
no, Silk was a major part as a rookie on the 75
Golden State. He was a major part of UCLA. He's another one that's won everywhere he's been. And you mentioned you're a Celtics fan. Dennis Johnson should have went in the Hall of Fame when he was alive. And I'm glad that Bob Simmons wrote an article about that. I'm so glad he did. Because I put something.
Bob Simmons or Bill Simmons?
Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons.
I was asking. I don't know if there's a different person.
Bill Simmons. Yeah, Bill Simmons. Yeah. He wrote an excellent article about a couple of years ago about DJ should have went in a long time ago. than he did. He went in posthumously. Another person that should be in the Hall of Fame, and this is my personal opinion, I'm just saying this, is Cedric Maxwell.
Ooh.
Because we couldn't stop him in Game 7 in '84. Couldn't stop him. He was unstoppable. And Magic even admitted the Finals MVP, he was on the bench in '85.
Here's my last question for you, because this is where I want to get. This is where I see the biggest cognitive dissidence, and we're running out of time. So I have a question for you on this. Okay, we'll go Kobe Bryant fans. Okay, Kobe Bryant fans are by far the most delusional fan base I've ever seen. Okay, so they'll go something like this. I'm like, well, tell me why you got Kobe's the GOAT, or why he's over LeBron. And then they'll do this. Well, he's the only guy ever to go back-to-back without a top 75 player. He beat the most 50-win teams. He's the fourth quarter closer, even with the most dominant player we've ever seen in Shaq. Kobe, unlike LeBron, he doesn't lose those games. He fights back and wins. Just all the
toughest pass to the finals in 01. Yeah, like that.
Toughest road ever. In like the 2010 championship. So then I break it down. I go, well, he's not the only one to go back-to-back without the top 75. George Mikan won 3 straight without a top 75 and did a back-to-back without top 75. Now, to me, George Mikan, that doesn't. No, you said only. You said he's the only to do it. He's clearly not. He's clearly not. I don't know what gives you the power to say, hey, this shit over there that happened? Yeah, it didn't. It doesn't count. I don't know why they think they have that power. I don't have that power. That's why I count it. Secondly, then he beat the most 50-win teams. No, actually, Derek Fisher beat more 50-win teams. And the thing is, if Derek Fisher holds that record, how valuable is that record? Then they go, oh, that's Derek Fisher. Well, Kobe, when they beat the Sonics in '98, you count that as one of the 50-win teams he beats. He averages 3.7 points a game. Derek Fisher's putting more of a contribution than 3.7 points a game. So if Kobe's 3.7 counts, Derek's 18 points on 61% against the Spurs, that counts too. So he didn't beat the most 50. Then he's the fourth quarter closer against Shaq. In the 6 years, Kobe Bryant's All-NBA with Shaq, he scores 12 more points across 6 years of playoff runs, over 100 playoff games. He outscores Shaq by 12 points. He takes 121 more shots to do it. Nobody's ever going to say 12 points off 121 shots is good basketball. That's shit basketball if we're doing that. Then it's, against the tougher competition, Kobe excels, and he wouldn't do that. Kobe loses by an average of 20 points a game when he gets eliminated. Kobe puts up no resistance when he's facing closeout games. His points drop, his rebounds drop, his assists drop, his field goal, and his free throw percentage drop. He turns into a C+ a game score. Then we go hardest run ever, right? 2010. You beat 4 teams with 50 wins. They won between 50 and 54 games. Hakeem Olajuwon beat 4 teams 57 through 62 wins with no home court advantage. So I don't know how it's harder beating a 50-win team with home court versus beating a 62-win team with no home court. Then we finally break down now I turn into a hater. Then my argument is this. If I'm a hater, then that means the opposite of that is a dick rider. Tell me what the advantage of is riding this man's dick and why I want to be a dick rider instead. That's my question for you.
Okay, well, there's a lot to unpackage there. And I want you to also add with Olajuwon, because I bring this up all the time, especially with the people from Houston, that they won after they lost game 2 in the conference semifinals against Phoenix. They didn't lose another road game. Those are facts. They were a 6 seed. Those are facts. Those are facts. And so, like I said, it does not fit their narrative. In fact, you've had people, and you probably heard this. You guys have probably heard this. You have people that just discount the Rockets championships because Jordan didn't play.
But he did play.
I know he did. But
wait. And then I say this too. Also, he eliminated the Hornets that year. And the Hornets had to go home because they didn't run it back because they said, actually, Jordan playing doesn't count, Charlotte. You get to go to the next round. When he sent them motherfuckers home, it counted.
Yeah.
People also don't understand that they didn't lose to the Magic that year because Jordan didn't play well enough. They lost because they didn't have anyone to contain Shaq. Like it's not.
They had no front line. The front line.
Exactly.
No front line. That's when they went out and got Rodman. And I'll say this: they said that Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson said Detroit, the Pistons, were bad for basketball in 1991. Okay. On that team was John Sally, Buddha Edwards, and Dennis Rodman. Fast forward 5-6 years. Buddha Edwards, John Sally, and Dennis Rodman were on the Bulls teams. You said that they were bad for basketball. Those are facts. So when you talk about the different things that people say, you could also add that Kobe was up 3-1 against Phoenix. Is that right?
Yep, got pissy and quit.
Okay.
But it doesn't count because it's Kobe. It's never about the accomplishment. It's just they think Kobe did it, so it mattered. And when Kobe didn't do it, they don't give a fuck.
Okay. Those are facts. Did LeBron James ever lose a 3-1 lead?
No.
No, he did not.
Oh, wait a minute. Kobe, after Shaq leaves, wins 0 series without home court advantage. LeBron's won 11. Kobe can only win as the favorite.
I'm glad you brought that up,
Crazy,
too, because in 2012, they didn't have home court advantage when he won against Oklahoma City.
No.
In 2016, they did not have home court advantage when they won against Golden State.
2018 against Boston.
2018 against Boston. And I'm glad.
2007 against Detroit.
Right. And yes, when he scored 25 unanswered, but he don't have the clutch gene. Mm-hmm. And that game went into overtime. He had 48 points. Mm-hmm. He was 22 years old. Those are facts. Okay. Chris, you mentioned Boston 2017 and 18.
Yeah.
Game 7. That was 2018.
Yes.
They were down 2-0 in that series.
And 3-2 as well.
They were down 3-2. But let's go back to when they were down 2-0 in that playoff series. People from Cleveland, this series over with. I said, hold on, stop, wait a minute. Let's go back to 1993. I said, who were in the Eastern Conference Finals in 93? The Bulls and the Knicks. I said, who won the first 2 games? Knicks. I said, who won the series?
Bulls.
The Bulls did. I said, it's the same situation. They're going to go to Cleveland. They're going to win game 3 and 4, and they might lose game 5. And they did. I said, they're going to still win this series in 7 games. And that's exactly what happened. When it doesn't fit when you're dealing with cognitive dissonance, if it doesn't fit their narrative, they get mad. They start cursing you out, using all types of profanity, or they shut down and walk away. One of three things happen. Those are guaranteed. The 4th thing, you want them to just say, you know what? Tell me, because I wasn't around at that time, but they're not going to do that because they have a certain person that they want to
elevate.
We know, and I mentioned different people.
Professor, I hate to cut you off, but we're out of time. We got another show coming up, so we're gonna have to get into this another time.
Okay.
So I want to thank you for that, Chris. I want to thank you for coming on. Yeah. I want to let everybody know. Make sure you bless the ones who broke you, because they're the ones who built you. We'll see you next week. Stay on. Fluent and Chill's up next. We'll see y'all.
Oh, Canada. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
No, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.